All right, very good. All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for our press briefing. We're here today to announce the opening of fall turkey season. Okay, it's not actually fall, well, it is actually fall turkey season, but that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about one of my favorite topics besides turkey hunting, which is property tax relief. Now, when I got elected governor 8 years ago, we focused on property tax relief. It was the number one thing people talked to me about as I traveled around the state, and it is still a top issue as I travel around the state. What are we doing about property tax? High property taxes, high taxes in general, are like weeds. They choke out growth. And so we have to make sure that we're addressing these issues. I hear all the time from, say, agriculture. Our property taxes put our producers at a competitive disadvantage with, say, producers in Iowa or Kansas or South Dakota. You hear from homeowners because it makes it difficult for them to afford their home. You hear from small businesses because it cuts into their ability to create jobs. So in my administration, every year we have worked to try and bring those property taxes down. You may recall that under the Heinemann administration, they started the Property Tax Credit Relief Fund. When I came into office, that was at $140 million. This year, it'll be more than double that at $313 million. And then again, working with the legislature, we were able to pass LB 1107. So that was a great start in delivering that property tax relief. And then last year, we passed a really monumental bill, working with Chair Linehan here of the Revenue Committee, LB 873, which not only made permanent the tax relief we put in 1107 in 2020, but also added to it and also did other types of tax relief as well. So we've got Chair Linehan here from the Revenue Committee to talk a little bit about that. I'm also being joined by Tony Fulton, who's our tax commissioner, and then Ruth Sorensen, who is our property tax administrator. And she's here to answer the really tough questions if they come up. So again, what we did is with 1107 is we started an income tax credit that in 2020 delivered a 6% rebate back on the property taxes you paid into your local K through 12 school district. And then the way the formula worked, and with the work that we did with 873 in 2021, that went up from 6% to 25% of what you were paying in your local property taxes. And then, of course, we passed 873, which made those changes permanent, also did the income tax relief. We've also passed tax relief for Social Security. We've passed tax relief for our veterans' retirement benefits. We've done a number of different things with regard to tax relief. In fact, if you look at all we've done with regard to tax relief, the 873 was 12 times bigger than any previous tax relief package passed in any previous administration. And if you roll together all the tax relief, by the time we get through tax year 2027, when this is all fully phased in, we will deliver $12.7 billion in tax relief, or nearly $12.7 billion, and $10 billion of that will be property tax relief. We'll be focused on property tax relief. So that is significant tax relief. And that is something that Nebraskans can be very proud of how much their legislature has worked to be able to deliver that. So I want to put this in perspective because, well, this is something that could be a house payment, a monthly house payment for many people, the amount of tax relief we're delivering. And one of the reasons we're here today to talk about this is not all Nebraskans are taking advantage of this tax relief. So when it comes to the Property Tax Credit Relief Fund, that automatically shows up on your property tax statement. That happens, the state just does it. That's essentially what we're paying of your property tax bill. You'll see that as a line item credit. It'll say, different counties do it different ways, but it'll say tax relief on it. And that's the credit you're getting back from the state. So that just happens automatically. Everybody's getting that. But with the income tax credit that we passed in 1107 and 873, you have to claim that. And we're finding that not all Nebraskans are claiming it. And so we want to get the word out through this press conference today to remind Nebraskans that when they file their 2022 taxes next year, you'll want to make sure you claim the property tax credits for both the K through 12 that we've already had in place, plus the community college that will be new this year as well. So in addition to the K through 12 tax relief, we've got a $50 million credit for the community colleges. And because Nebraskans haven't been claiming this, and we want to encourage them to claim it, what we're able to do this year for tax year 22 is to take that 25% that you got in 2021, we're going to take that up to 30%. So that's the headline for this press conference. We're taking that tax credit up on your property taxes up to 30% that you claim when you file your Nebraska state income tax. And that will be both for the K through 12 and the community college. So we will give you back 30%. It's a refundable tax credit. So even if you don't owe us money, we'll send you a check. We're going to pay 30% of your K through 12 and your community college property tax bill. That's significant. So let's put it in the context of what somebody here in Lincoln might pay. If you've got a home here in Lincoln worth $250,000, which is, I think, kind of the median home here in Lincoln, you will get back $871 through the income tax credit and an additional $266 through the property tax credit relief fund, for a total of $1,137. Now, if you figure roughly the property taxes on a $250,000 home here in Lincoln is going to be $4,983. The K through 12 taxes on that would be a subset of that. That'll be $2,905. You're looking at a 30% credit on your K through 12. If you wrap it all together, that $1,137 is about 23% of your total property tax bill of $4,983. So you're getting back 23% back from the state. And that, again, at $1,137, that's about a house payment. That's a big deal. So we want people to take advantage of this credit. You have to claim it on your taxes. The Department of Revenue has been sending out communications to remind people to do it. I actually just talked to the folks at Intuit with TurboTax. They've got it in their software, but again, it's going to be up to the taxpayer to make sure that you click the box and get the proper data to be able to get your income tax credit. But this is a big deal. We want people to take advantage of this income tax credit that you get to be able to take money off of your property taxes. So that's our message today. We want people to remind people they can do this, and you can go back, and even if you did not file for your income tax, on your income taxes for your property tax credit, you can go back and do that. And Tony will talk a little bit about that as well, but you can go back and file and still claim that credit. So we want people to know about that as well. So, great news. The people who are going to get this credit are going to get it's going to go up from 25 to 30%, and now we'll only include your K through 12 taxes, but it'll include your community college taxes. So lots of property tax, again, relief coming in tax year 2022. So with that, I'd like to turn over to Chair Linehan. I cannot say enough good things about how Senator Linehan has worked with my office to be able to pull all these things together. It is always a challenge getting consensus, especially supermajority consensus, on getting tax relief bills done. But Senator Linehan did a fantastic job with the Revenue Committee and with the legislative body in general to be able to pass these really historic tax relief bills, 1107 and 873. And it's been great cooperation, so I really appreciate all the great hard work you did to get the message out, to work with your members, and get this across the finish line on the floor of the legislature. This is something that Nebraskans have been asking for, and you delivered it in a big way. So with that, Senator Linehan.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and thank you for being here this morning. I can't say enough about Governor Pete Ricketts' leadership. There is no way we would have gotten the tax relief we've gotten done since I've been Revenue Chair the last 4 years without his leadership, his persistence, the whole time he's been governor, first of all, by keeping spending under control, so we actually had the money. And he did this while he dealt with the largest natural disaster we've had in 100 years and a historical pandemic. So I don't think enough Nebraskans understand how critical his leadership has been to this state over the last 8 years, and I am going to miss him. I also have to thank the Revenue Committee, and I'm going to read their names off because I do believe just, there's all kinds of things in life, and luck is very important. And I got very lucky with my revenue committee. Just for instance, 2 of my members had been here for 8 years before. So I had more experience on my committee, I would guess, than any other committee in the legislature. Mike Flood and Rich Pauls. And Mike Flood had been speaker. He knew all the rules. As we all know, he's good. He knows how to get things done. I also had the advantage of Senator Lindstrom, who worked his whole time he was here to get Social Security taxes removed, income taxes removed from Social Security, and he got that done. And in his effort to get it done, he could have left us behind and just done that and accomplished his goal, but he worked with the group to make sure we could all get our goals done. Senator Friesen, who ended up having the bill at the last stop sign, it was Senator Friesen who gave us his bill to put the package together. Senator Breezy has fought for property tax relief the whole time he's been here. He's in my class 6 years. He fought hard for it, but he also understood, and this is very important, he understood that we couldn't do property tax without income taxes. And I didn't have to spend hours arguing over which one. He knew we had to do both. Senator Albright was new to this year, but she comes from ag. Her husband's a farmer, but she grew up in South Omaha, and she worked for years in Sarpy County. She had a great understanding of both sides of the equation. Senator Bostar, our lone progressive, was very cooperative. He had things that he wanted, and Amendment 1, we got it out of committee. They'll be on the ballot. I worked with he and Senator Flood this last weekend on putting together an ad campaign for it. We worked together like we're supposed to. It was nonpartisan. It wasn't urban versus rural. It was everybody wins. And one of the reasons I know we were so successful, this summer I had a little gathering of friends I went to college with. One of them doesn't live in Nebraska anymore because of her husband's job. One is an ag producer, and one is a homeowner and recently retiree in Omaha. They all thanked me profusely for the tax package. The ag owner, because of the property tax cut. My other friend who inherited a farm this last year, property tax cut. And all of them on the Social Security, because we're all Social Security age. My friend in Omaha is going to stay in Nebraska because of the Social Security tax, because they were looking in Missouri. So our team, the governor, the revenue committee, and many, many members in the legislature, this was historic. It's important. I feel really good. I think we can do more, and our economy is booming. So when we get here in January, I will plan on increasing the tax relief we have and see what more we can do. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to speak on behalf of the Department of Revenue and remind everyone, the governor has basically covered it. There are 2 major tax relief categories that we're talking about here today. The Property Tax Credit Relief Fund, which, again, taxpayers don't have anything to do there. It'll already show up on their statements, but it's significant, and so people should be aware of it. The other, the Refundable Income Tax Credit, okay? So it's important, as the governor has stated, that Nebraskans, file your income taxes. That's April 15th, is generally when that occurs, and you'll need to claim this credit. Right now, it's about 60% of the monies that could be claimed have been claimed. And when you're starting a new tax program, it does take time for the tax program to finally sink in. But we can do better than 60%.
And didn't we have that kind of experience with the earned income tax credit?
Yeah.
Same sort of thing?
Yeah, there are things to which we can compare, but 60 I mean, we're Nebraskans, we don't accept 60%. So we can do better. It's important for people to recognize that we are getting ready to enter the 3rd year of this tax program. And by our tax law in Nebraska, one can go back, file an amended return, and claim this tax credit up to 3 years ago. And so that's what some people will do, hopefully, after our good media make this known to people. We in the Department of Revenue, we are also working to make it known to people. While it takes time for these tax programs to, reach their full potential, this is such a significant amount of money. Every Nebraskan should be aware of it. Okay? So we have right on our website, you can go to revenue.nebraska.gov, the Department of Revenue's website. We have it right on our front page. You can file an amended return if you didn't claim your refundable income tax credit. If you didn't file your taxes, well, you should be filing your taxes, but up to 3 years back, you can claim that credit.
And talk a little bit about the form you've got to file that claim.
Sure. The way that we went about doing this, so maybe if the media have questions, we can get into some of the weeds about how this program is administered. But one can go to the Department of Revenue's website. We'll ask you to use our, what do we call it, the property tax credit lookup tool? Is that what it's called officially?
Lookup tool.
Yeah, so it's just a lookup tool. It's very simple. I've done it a couple of times now, and you enter your information for your property, and it will calculate how much you can claim. Because again, this is for 30% of the school property taxes you've paid and 30% of the community college property taxes you've paid. And I understand this can be very confusing for Nebraskans. They write one check, they don't write 20 checks to different entities. That's why we have this lookup tool. So you go to the lookup tool, there's the amount that you are due. If you don't owe any income taxes to the state of Nebraska, April 15th rolls along and you don't have any liability, you don't owe any income taxes to the state of Nebraska, you can still claim this income tax credit for the property taxes you've paid. It's called a refundable income tax credit. That's a term of art in the revenue world. It means that we'll cut you a check if you didn't owe, that amount. So that is how we have set up the administration of this program. Again, I want to hammer home, there are 2 categories here, both of which are significant, one of which is larger, and you must claim that income tax credit. Like I said, about 60% have claimed it. We do expect that number is going to increase because of a bill that was passed last year regarding pass-through entities. If you want to ask, we can get into the details of that. There will, of course, over the period of time, be taxpayers who will go back in time to claim the credit. Again, you can do that for up to 3 years into the past. And so that number is going to increase, but we want to push that number up as high as possible. Okay?
And Tony, it's a relatively, if you go back and refile your taxes, it's actually a relatively simple form to do that just for this. Correct? Is that
Yeah.
right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, right. So there is, what do we call it, the PTCX?
PTCX.
Yeah, Form PTCX for all of the accountants out there. Again, on the front page of our website, one can see this form. It's a simple one, I think we've got it down to 1 page. Yeah, a simple 1-page form that will allow one to go back into time and claim money that is rightfully yours. So again, this is a significant amount of money. We don't want to leave any of it, so to speak, on the table. Nebraskans should be aware of this. A lot of Nebraskans are, but there are still a pretty significant number, I believe, who maybe are unaware of this or for whatever reason haven't claimed what's rightfully theirs due to the good work of our legislature and our governor.
So there's a 2020 form.
I'll go ahead and turn it over.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
So for the Form PTCX on our website, there's a 2020 form that will have the 6% from the first year. And then there's a 2021 PTX form that has the 25.3% for 2021. And then, of course, you can claim those 2 years, and then going forward, it'll be, as the governor announced, 30% for both K through 12 and community college. And there'll be a new Form PTC that will be issued with those line items. So, sorry about that.
No point. Thanks for the clarification, Ruth. So again, if you're going back in time to file, it's 6% for 2020, 25% for 2021. The 30% will apply for this tax year, 2022. So that's when you file that for your April 15th taxes next year. So there'll be a new form for this year, next year. Okay, so,
On the website.
but anyway, again, the key point here is that the credit is going up to 30% for tax year 2022. We want Nebraskans to claim it. If you didn't claim it, you can go back and file with the Department of Revenue to claim it, get that 6% for 2020, 25% for 2021, and this year, it'll be a 30% credit for both the K through 12 and your community colleges. So again, we want people to file that on their income taxes when they file. That's how you claim that credit. And again, this is possible because we have kept expenses low. Across the 8 years of the budgets I've worked with the legislature, we've kept that growth to 2.8% compared to the last 2 budget years before I became governor, where it was growing at 6.5%. So when you keep your expenses down, and of course, in 2021, we had the highest GDP growth ever in our state history. So when your economy grows, your tax revenues grow, that's how you can afford to do the tax relief. So thank you, Senator Linehan, for reminding us about that. So with that, we'll go ahead and open up to questions and answers. Again, as always, we'll focus on this topic, and then we'll move on to other topics if we have time. Paul.
Why not make this easy and just make it automatic? Is that something the legislature needs to look at next year?
So Paul's question was, can't you make it automatic somehow? Well, again, when it comes to income taxes, we still rely on people to file their income taxes, and they still have to be able to, claim this, because we don't have their information specifically on the property taxes. This was the fastest way to do it directly on the property taxes based on your income tax code. And frankly, it's part of the legislative process, right? This is what we could get passed. Senator Linehan, if there's anything else you want to add?
They're different. There's differences in the formulas. I like this because I know it's hard, and all Nebraskans aren't doing it, but they're going to get there. People should be aware of where their property taxes go and how much they pay to each entity. And when they have to use these lookup tools and look, they know, especially people who maybe have a mortgage that pay escrow and they don't understand. This is an educational process, and there were too many people with the original tax credit that don't understand they're getting the credit because it's on their bill, but they don't understand it. So I like this program much, much better because in the process, people become far more aware of what the actual property taxes are and who's collecting them.
But 40% of people aren't getting it.
Well, I think part of that, I haven't talked to the governor or anybody in the revenue committee about this, but I think there might be a simple solution to this. So when the counties send out the property tax statement, you all get them, I suppose, there's usually a slip in there that says what the state is funding in your county, and it goes to schools or anything. We just need to put a slip in there that says you need to, when you file your income taxes, you need to claim a credit for 30% of what you're paying. And it wouldn't cost it costs a little bit, computer-generated slip, but the postage is already paid, they already mail. So I think we just need to because I think part of it may be, they touched on it. You've got some people who don't pay income taxes, so they don't realize it's a refundable credit. You've got others who are out of state who they're not going to get the media. Their accountants may be out of state. They may just have missed it. There are a lot of absentee landowners. And they don't live here, but their farms or their ranches are here. And I think we'll be surprised how much it ticks up when you get the pass-throughs included. Because a lot of families, a lot of businesses are LLCs, and they don't do corporate, and they had extra time because the first year they couldn't really do it. So that has yet to kick in too, I think. And a lot of people, especially people with very complicated income taxes that are like this thick, they file for extensions, they pay their quarterly, they pay ahead. So you've got a lot of people who don't actually get their income taxes done till October.
So are you saying on that form it would show how much your credit would be if you claim it?
That could do that. I don't, it's an idea. And you know how far it goes from an idea in my head to we get legislation passed. But there has to be a way that you can tell the people when they get their slip that they need to ask for this credit when they do their income taxes.
Just a couple of technical questions. What happens if this money isn't claimed? Does it just go back in the general fund at some point?
So again, this is general fund money, so it's just money that is not, distributed back or given as a credit in the general fund. And so, yes, so the money is just not used. And that's why, again, we want Nebraskans to know they should claim it.
And if you miss it this year, can you claim it next year on your?
Yes, so if you don't, say, and if you file your taxes for tax year '22 and fail to claim this credit, you will be able to go back and file for this credit, say, in '23 or '24.
Does that take an extra form?
So that's that form PTCX that Ruth was referencing. So it's, again, it's on the front page of the Department of Revenue's website. It's a one-page form. So if you already filed your taxes for a previous year, and this applies to 20 and 21, if you filed your taxes and didn't claim it then, you can go on the Department of Revenue's website, get this one-page form, fill it out, and go back for tax years 20 and 21 and claim it. And if you miss it this year, there'll be a new form for next year where you'll be able to come back and get it for 22. Yes, Martha?
So, a couple of questions. First, going to 30%, are you using money that's not being claimed for 2021 to increase the amount for 2022? Is that where the 30% comes from?
Yeah, so Martha's question was, are we using the unclaimed money to take up the 25% to 30%? And that's accurate. Yes, we are doing that. So in both 20 and 21, we had unclaimed dollars. So we're increasing the 25% to 30% so that we'll be able to use some of those dollars.
And the second question is, the first year, it was only 6%, and so the second year, you're talking a larger amount of money, and I know that folks had thought that would be enough to get people to claim this, and you're still not getting any better claiming rate. So is it time to change to a different method?
So Martha's asking, because we still haven't used up all the dollars, is it time to change to a different method? And I would say the answer is no. Again, we've got experience with this, like the Earned Income Tax Credit Program, you may recall, for low-income Nebraskans. Again, when that program was first implemented, it took several years for people to understand they needed to claim that. So what we'll do is continue to work on getting the word out. This is still a relatively new program, and we hope that by taking it up from 25% to 30%, that will also create more incentive for people to investigate if they can claim this credit, which they can if they own, real property here in Nebraska. So I think part of it is we're just going to continue to get more experience with this program. I think we'll see more uptake over time, and we'll just continue to find additional ways to communicate out to people so they can claim this credit. Go ahead, sure.
And also remember that this year, it's 50 million that we set aside for community colleges, but that goes up to 195 million, I think,
By 2026.
by 2026. So these amounts of each of these credits are going to grow. And also in the original thinking, this is all the work we've done in the last 4 years, of the original property tax credit, when gambling comes online, I think it's 75% of revenues from, it's a pretty significant amount of the gambling revenue goes into that credit. So we have a lot, there'll be more money every year, and the more people hear, so when I went door to door in Omaha this spring with another candidate running for legislature, I had a man come out of the house with his tax form saying, I can't figure this out. I saw it on TV. That's the only thing he had heard. He evidently doesn't read the papers, or he didn't read that paper. So he saw a channel, I don't know which channel, story, and he had been trying to figure it out. So I sit there with my iPhone on his step and figured out his taxes for him. So we need the media to really help us here, and I think this is why we're here today, because people, they don't know about it yet.
I'm gonna add something if I can.
Sure, go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
I hope that you'll be attentive to the fact that we have to gather data. This program will not reach its full maturity until 4 years from now. And the legislature and the governor, they've gone about this in a measured, that's the only way to say it, they've taken a measured approach to be able to make sure that this is a long-term property tax relief program. And so, for instance, last year, and another thing to bear in mind, we don't know what we don't know. Okay? So there's going to be, for instance, we, the state, discovered that it was important to change the way the law was written to allow individuals who are in a partnership to more easily claim their income tax credit. And we did that, we, the state I'm talking about, the legislature and the governor, did this by allowing that credit to be claimed by the entity. Now, I think to most people they don't care, but that made a big difference. And so this number, right now we're around 60%. There are a number of people who are members of an LLC or a limited partnership or what have you, who still haven't claimed their credit from previous because they filed that from the previous year because they filed an extension, which many companies do. I think, again, perhaps people are not aware of this. Many companies file extensions, and so April 15th was the deadline before. If you file an extension, you get, till October 15th. Okay, so those companies can claim the tax credit, the refundable income tax credit from the year previous. And so I know there's a fixation on what the number is, but recognize that that number is not finalized, and it won't be finalized for another 3 or 4 years. So the question was that, should we scrap this and do something else? Well, this hasn't even happened yet. It's important, I think, for the media to understand that. Okay.
Martha, go ahead.
So the 60%, how much money are we talking about in actual dollars?
So your question is, how much of the tax credit do we actually say pay out in 2021?
Or, no, let's turn that around, how much did we not pay out?
How much is still left? So Tony, do you have the number for how much was not given out?
Math in my head here. So it's 40%. The year one, we put how much into it?
125 million?
125, so 40% of 125 million.
So
Second year?
in the second year was 275.
270, so 40% of that.
Yeah.
It's actually closer.
Closer to what?
Closer to 500.
Yeah.
Second year.
Oh, second, oh, right, because it went
That's the
out,
growth.
right, because of the growth,
Because
right.
growth and the
513 million.
Yeah.
So,
So the rough numbers.
513, you said, in the second year?
think
Okay. So 40% of 513 would be roughly $200 million from last year.
513 from last year?
So the money that was not distributed from last year was roughly $200 million for tax year '21. Is that roughly right? $200 million?
Why don't we
the
get
first
exact
year.
numbers?
We'll get you the exact numbers, Martha. How about that? We're going to figure this out and get you the exact number. All right. Any other questions on this one? Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Questions on other topics? Yeah, Paul.
Where were you early this week? I know last week it snuck off to the Ricketts County Canal, on Monday and Tuesday.
So on Sunday, I was at the Midwest U.S. Japan Association Conference in Chicago. And on Monday and Tuesday, I was in Atlanta at the Republican Governors Association Policy Summit.
This is way out of left field, but, the nation's looking for a place to build new chips. Is Nebraska in the running for that? I mean, we have plenty of water, they need plenty of water to make computer chips. Do you know anything about that? Are we talking to companies? Are they interested in us?
So Paul was asking, hey, well, we need to reshore semiconductor chip processing or making here in the United States. Ohio obviously had a big announcement that they were going to get a chip factory. Is Nebraska in the running for those things? Our Department of Economic Development is always out looking for folks. I think Nebraska would be an excellent site. We have a well-educated workforce. As you mentioned, they need water. That's one of the things, we're the state with the most amount of miles of streams and rivers of any state in the country, and we sit on the largest underwater aquifer. So an excellent site for a future chip factory. With regard to specifics, again, we just don't discuss those things until they become public. Many times these companies don't want it known. But obviously, if we do have the opportunity to be able to get a chip factory, we would love to have a chip factory here in Nebraska. Other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Got any better ideas of what you're gonna do when you leave office?
So Paul's asking me what I'm going to do when I leave office, and the first thing I'm going to do is go on vacation with my wife so I can stay married. So, and after that, we'll worry about the rest after that. We got a lot to focus on with regard to the last less than 4 months of this administration. Obviously, there was a lot of legislation that was enacted in the spring, tax relief being one of it, but also you can think of things such as what we do with the ARPA bill. You can think about the canal project. We've certainly got to get ready for a transition here, so we've got a lot of work left to do here in the next few months, and that's what I'm going to focus on. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you all very much for joining us here this morning. And again, please, Nebraska taxpayers, you're going to get a 30% tax credit back on what you paid into your K through 12 schools and your community colleges. So please claim that tax credit next year when you file your Nebraska state income taxes. And Francis, thank you very much again for interpreting it for us. All right, thanks, folks. Have a good one.